You want me to love you, but you don't love me now. Why should I give my heart to you? We gonna shut that motor down. I've been searching for you for a long time now, but you've left my heart's vision. Now you want me to stay in your life. That won't happen again. No, you said no. I said no. Can't blame you. No. That's why I like that book. If it don't interest you to pick up this book, then you just don't like thrillers. Absolutely amazing book. I loved it. I actually read this book in one day. Oh man, I'm driving. I had a load from Ohio to Wisconsin. Oh man, all day listening to this book. I have never like read a book in one day really. Yes, I have. I'm lying. But the point is, it's not many. It's a very small list. This summary pretty much paints how like every single plot point that is talk about, it hits, man. It hits it right on the head. I like that book. What's going on, everybody? My name is Charlie Roy Crawford from the heart. It sounds so funny to say, but I like it. And I want to talk to y'all about a book that I read yesterday, like completely, just all the way through in one sitting. You know what I mean? Right here with mine, and just incredibly interesting and just a fun, quick thriller. The book is called The End of Her. The book is by Shari Lapena. I forget who was read by, but she did an awesome job. You know, rock on, keep on rocking on, and may you rock on forevermore. A long ago accident and a visitor from out of the blue. Stephanie and Patrick are adjusting to life with their colicky twin girls. The babies are a handful, but even as Stephanie struggles with the disorientation of sleep deprivation, there's one thing she's sure of. She has all she ever wanted. Then Erica, a woman from Patrick's past, appears and makes a disturbing accusation. Patrick had always said his first wife's death was an accident, but now Erica claims it was a murder. Patrick insists he's innocent, that this is nothing but a blackmail attempt. Still, Erica knows things about Patrick, things that make Stephanie begin to question her husband. Stephanie isn't sure what or who to believe. As Stephanie's trust in Patrick begins to falter, Patrick stands to lose everything. Is Patrick telling the truth? Is Erica the persuasive liar Patrick says she is? Or has Stephanie made a terrible mistake? How will it end? Not one, two colicky babies, man. You know what I mean? My daughter, she was colicky. These are babies, for anybody who don't have kids or don't understand what I'm talking about. These are babies who have something going on with them where even the nurses and the doctors can't really explain it. It may go from 3 months to 9 months. But the point is, these babies cannot be soothed at all. Literally, you'll be walking around for, again, 3 to 9 months, you know what I mean, holding these babies, walking around the living room and just rocking them, and they can't be consoled. You can be driving around your neighborhood. It is what it is. And so I like that sort of foundation that these two characters, you know what I mean, the wife and the husband, was put in. And then comes this crazy plot, this crazy twist with this woman named Erica with her devious ass claiming these things and throwing her life out of whack. And so what it does is it makes us think like, okay, are they reliable characters? Do they really see what they think they see? Do they feel how they really feel? Are they short-tempered? Are they paranoid? Because again, they sleep deprived because they got to take care of these babies. I thought she was a well-rounded character. She was pretty much all alone. Her husband was out at the job site, of course, on his job pretty much every day, and she was a stay-at-home. And she didn't have no family, you know what I mean? She had one friend in the neighborhood, but that friend in the neighborhood had a husband and a kid as well. And so she was pretty much on her own and paranoid. She was just doing real bad with sleep. She had it worse than Patrick, the husband. Patrick was another fun character to read about. I just think that when it came to him, he had too much baggage, and he was an unreliable character because he lied a lot. Let's be honest. I'm not gonna spoil anything, but when you lie so much, you put yourself in terrible situations because you got to constantly build upon that lie, try to keep that lie attached to that lie attached to that lie, and you put yourself in terrible situations that way. Just tell the truth from the get-go, and hopefully things work out good for you. He was very, very reactive to Erica as well, because Erica was no joke. This woman named Erica, man, she comes out of nowhere, and she kind of surprises Patrick sitting in the lobby of his job or whatever one day, and we know right away, like, okay, these two got passed and everything, and she wants to meet up with him, and he's keeping her a secret for a little while, and come to find out it's a secret going on. And there was an accident, like I said in the blurb. Patrick's first wife, she died or whatnot, and it was very, very clever how I never really read a book where the person who died like this, and it was very, very interesting, and it was a hook all in itself. It don't even say it in the blurb how she died, but when you hear it, you're like, that's interesting. And all throughout this book, man, like no boring parts whatsoever. The dialogue, everything was progressive. The problem is, man, I just did not know who to trust the entire book. I don't give a damn if it was Stephanie. Maybe Stephanie was on the, okay, I trust her. You don't know who to trust. Patrick. I think the big thing, though, for me, like the selling point, if you had to boil it down to it, besides like how everything was written and how great she wrote it and everything, like I say, was tight. It was a tight plot or whatnot. I think the main thing was Erica. This woman, Erica Vause. Shout out to Alex Vause from Orange is the New Black. No relation. The point is, Erica Vause, man, she is a villain of villains. The way she was painted, man, it was like a movie. It was like a horror movie villain. You know what I mean? Somebody who's infamous, like a gangster type of character arc, man. Like every single POV when she came into the scene and how she just disrupted everybody's life and how competent she was. How heartless. She was very, very immoral. She had no scruples, you know what I mean? No conscience, as they say. And she would just tear your heart out, you know what I mean? She was just greedy and things like that. But it was absolutely fascinating to read about her. You hated her from the get-go or whatnot, but still, you loved to read about her and to follow her story and to see, okay, is she telling the truth? What does she really want? Why is she making up this story? Because again, you love these two characters, Stephanie and Patrick, right from the get-go. But you know what I mean. Of course, all stories you gotta have conflict. But man, like Erica was absolutely amazing to read, man. Every single point of view, and it's one of those stories where even though we follow Stephanie and Patrick for most of the story, of course, the main characters. But no matter who the point of view was aimed into or whatever, who we saw the eyes. Who we saw through, I should say, Erica was always moving. She was not a stagnant and impassive antagonist, man. She was doing stuff where, you know what I mean, the point of view characters was nervous, you know what I mean, they looking left and right, then something would happen, like, oh, that was Erica. She's constantly moving on this chessboard that is this plot, this story. And you just felt for Stephanie, man. The entire time she was just dragged along until she started becoming active or whatnot. But I promise you, man, this story right here is one of those, like I said on the back, you cannot put this book down. I'm driving, I'm a truck driver, and I couldn't stop. I told my girl, let me call you back. Erica's on the move. She said, who's Erica? You have to find out. I think one of the main things you can take away is, who the hell did you marry? Who the hell, is that a fly? I hope ain't no damn fly in this truck. Not in the mood. Who did you put your trust into? Who did you put your loyalty into? who is that mofo in your house? You know what I'm talking about? Whether they did something that somebody is trying to claim that they did or not, the fact that they could be capable of something like that, and the fact that they just might be good liars, is something that you have to take to account. You know what I mean? You never know who you laying next to. And I mean that in general. I'm not saying that to be controversial, or I'm not trying to say that to be an extreme, like, oh, well, some people, you know what I mean, you got to know something. No, I don't think I know, you know what I mean, who I'm laying next to. She don't know who she laying next to. Well, how can we ever know that? Ain't nobody telling 100% truth all the time. That's my point. But we just need to figure out if that person's character, and based off of our experience with them, is enough for us to move forward and try to get to know them better and live a life with them. That's just up to our discretion. That is a powerful, powerful word. Discretion and discernment. A lot of us don't have a lot of discernment. But who will we laying next to, man? Who's in our house is very, very important. I thought another takeaway is the fact that we always say that we wouldn't do something. But when the opportunity comes to us to protect our babies, let's say, for example, we would do some of the most craziest things. We'll do some of the most craziest things. And I think it's very, very important to not limit yourself. You know what I mean? Like they say, God is only a God of good things. You know what I mean? He'll never do bad things. You know what I mean? Why is there murder? Why is there rape in this world? You know, the mass genocides and earthquakes and all this other stuff. When what we're doing when we do that is we're limiting God. You know what I mean? If you believe in the word, you should look in it. It says that he creates good and bad. He's the God of good and bad. Which means what? Hell. You know what I mean? All this stuff that you're talking about, like, oh, you know, God, he did that. If he didn't do it, he let it happen. And so we're complex creatures. We're complex creatures. We'll do a lot of things depending on our situation. Hell, somebody put $50 million in front of me and say, hey, go knock that guy off. I'm thinking about knocking him off. I put one in his head right now. I'm just playing. The point is this. Do your best to try to maintain your spiritual life and whatever good qualities you have about you, and your compassion for your next man, because if we're not training ourselves, it's a lifelong thing. If we're not constantly equipping ourselves with the morals, the scruples, just the consciousness of godliness and holiness, when we come into our situations, we might make the wrong mistake, or we might just do stuff that we would think was heinous in the past. But another part is that what will we do to protect our babies, and what will we do to protect ourselves and our families? Man, everything is open. Anything is open. You can learn a lot from fiction, man. You can learn a lot from fiction. I made a Twitter post a while ago. I said I get a lot of my non-fiction from fiction, mainly because I listen to a lot of stories, and I like stories, and I like to follow you know what I mean, characters in tough situations, see how they come out of it, because they say that art imitates real life. People put their whole soul in stories or whatnot, and I go in there and I see what he talking about, what he going through. You know what I mean? I learned that you know, I learned a little bit more about colicky babies. Also learned about the dangers of carbon monoxide poisoning. Say what command? I don't want to say command. There's a lot of things, if you keep your eyes open, you can learn from. You can learn about the crimes that was committed in the city, because a lot of authors are putting real crimes and real story, you know, setting. A lot of authors will put a lot of setting realities, wherever it's based, in the story as well. You can get a lot of nonfiction from fiction. What's the last thing we can learn? Start today, because your past can still come and haunt you. So why not start doing good today? Nobody's perfect. You know what I mean? I think from these characters, man, you see, nobody's perfect. Everybody's gonna make a mistake. Even if you're a good person, you still gonna find your way. Probably, usually. You know what I mean? You can still find your way where you're a good person and you're in a messed up situation, man. It's okay. It is what it is. But start today. Your past can't come up to haunt you. Try to keep your bearings and things like that, and don't be so hard on yourself. But if you're out there doing wrong, your past can't come up. It can come back up on you, and basically shatter your life and those around you. Overall, I gave this book a 5 out of 5 stars. I was absolutely in love with the story. And I usually ain't in love with a damn thing, but I'm in love with the story. I was in love with the story, I should say. And all the characters were a lot of the characters were well-rounded, and it was just absolutely amazing that this story was so tightly plotted like this, where you followed everything. There was twists and turns. I thought the ending could have been a bigger twist or whatnot, but it was still wrapped up for me in the way that the author saw fit. A lot of my favorite scenes, man, were she's in love. I'm that way. And so peace. Charleroi is out. And now it's time to say goodbye. Won't you please come back and say hi?